1 p.m. daily simply wasn't pulling in enough revenue. CEO Alan Questrom.
The 45-second sale drew very strong customer response, but regrettably, only a handful of shoppers actually got to capitalize on our fantastic prices due to the horrific injuries they sustained during their stampede to the cashier.
Questrom added that plans are in the works to create a longer 2-minute sale intended to give frantic shoppers at least a fighting chance to enjoy incredible store-wide savings. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Let us make them remember. We are not afraid!
Thunderstruck! Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Freedom's Phoenix. Freedom's Phoenix with Dr. Phranq Tamburri. And this is me going solo, Philadelphia, Phranq Tamburri, without Ernie Hancock trying to keep me into check and getting me to become that libertarian. But don't worry, guys. Those of you that are those libertarians, I'm not going to be regurgitating Fox News the entire time. We'll be discussing the winner, Donald Trump, in a heck of a week. Make actually Rocky Balboa proud. This man, we've been winning and winning so much. Mr. President, please stop winning. I can't handle anymore. He promised us. I can't handle it. We have, of course, his fight with Iran, which I know in this audience, it's been an issue. Me too. But let's just be honest. It didn't turn around on him as many people thought with the boomerang of Iran fighting back. Much of it because of the unfortunate downing of the Ukrainian plane. We also have, of course, the job numbers that came out. We have the unemployment numbers that came out. The attack on of the sanctuary cities that came out. We, of course, had the Democrat caucus exploding, falling apart, and exposing the deep state to the leftists and to many Democrats, including moderates, just as the Ron Paul campaign wound up exposing the overall establishment, duplicitous nature of the establishment to Republicans, which started the Tea Party, which was Dr. Paul, even despite that Republicans do not want to give him credit for that, and then led to, of course, Donald Trump. We had the State of the Union address, which, oh boy, I know many of you probably have already been catching up on it from yesterday. We did not Ernie and I did not do a reaction show the other day because he's not here, but I will give you my thoughts on it, hopefully add some more content or some ideas, more than you've maybe heard in the mainstream. But, oh boy, where do you even start with that State of the Union? I mean, it started at the beginning of the day with Trump throwing out CNN and MSNBC from the pregame luncheon that they normally have, and it just went downhill or uphill, depending how you look at it from there. And then, of course, the infamous Nancy the Tour Loser, or should we call her Nancy the Ripper, or my favorite, Skeletor. I think that probably is more apropos. But anyway, whatever name you want to give her. And of course, since we're all, well, at least for me being a Trump fan, you have to have a name. But regardless, that was epic and essentially basically sets up the automatic reelection, in my opinion, of Donald Trump. And if nothing else, the movement of the moderate Democrats, people that have been sitting on the fence this entire time, this entire week, and capstoned with Nancy Pelosi ripping up that speech. has done more damage to the Democrats than I think even they can reckon with yet. The establishment knows that they're done as far as the Democrat Party, at least for now. They have a major restructuring. We will be discussing this in the next hour, but I think the followers, the mainstream Democrat that were leftists, I should say, that maybe listen still to CNN, I don't know who those people are, but those that are still part of that narrative, I think they are about to have an awakening and a pseudo red pill. I don't know if it's red. Maybe it's a far left blue pill for them, but at least it's going to be awakening them. Anyway, then we have the acquittal after that. I mean, this is just within a couple weeks, guys. And the reason I played Rocky, aside from Philadelphia, it's the only thing that gets my blood pressure going to wake up, aside from Donna's coffee. But I'll tell you what, I have said on this show countless times to Ernie through the years. I've said this to my family and many people who say, Frank, when's Trump going to push back? What's going on? How come he's taking it? Where's Q? Where's this? Where's that? And for those of you that have listened to the show for a while, I have pointed out that Donald Trump is playing the rope-a-dope game. I've said this. I mean, Donna, you remember, right? I've talked about the rope-a-dope countless times. I've said, and if those of you that don't understand or maybe you're kind of young for this, he was the famous Rumble in the Jungle with Ali and George, what is it, the hamburger guy? Was the mean griller machine, the lean machine. Anyway, that hamburger griller machine, some of you might recall. Anyway, George Foreman was actually a really baddie back in the day. He found God later on in life after he lost against Ali, and then became a really different person and a real sweetie pie, kind of like Mike Tyson's story. But anyway, that Rumble in the Jungle was a big deal. It was the first ever satellite feed event of all time. It was the first one, and it was shown throughout the world from Zaire, I believe it was, Africa. Anyway, the thing is, at that fight, Muhammad Ali he came out of prison at that time. Remember, because he was a conscientious objector, and he was told that there's no way that he can win. There's no way he could come back. Not to mention, if he wasn't training the entire time in prison, and to take on the heavyweight champion, which was George Foreman, and he was a bear. He was at the time similar to how people looked at Mike Tyson, and there's no way he could win. And all the chips were against him. Howard Cosell, he actually was in his camp. He thought he always loved Ali as a person. But anyway, they're down there, and all the odds are against him. He's in the fight. He's in the ring, and it's round after round, and Muhammad Ali's just getting pummeled. And he's basically he's up against the ropes. He's got his hands up. He's getting pummeled against those ropes for I don't know how many rounds. And people are thinking, my gosh, this guy's done. And then Ali realized that it was all planned. He wore him out. He also psyched him out by turning the African population against him, by just winning them over with his charisma and charm. It's exactly what Ali did. So he basically nailed George Foreman in the mental game, and then he wore him out in the physical game, even though he had all the power, and Ali was definitely the underdog, and wore him out, and by, I don't know, whatever round it was, he said, okay, you done now? Is that all you got? My turn. Bam, 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 bam. And that was pretty much what we saw. We've been seeing the last couple of weeks, and that is certainly what we saw at the State of the Union address. To me, I am watching that here. As I was here at Freedom's Phoenix with the whole family and all the friends here at Freedom's Phoenix, and those of you guys that were here, thank you. We had definitely a really nice night. But that was the equivalent of the little punching bag, from the Rocky montages. And it goes, bam, bam, bam. That's what he was doing. He was slapping them Democrats around, slapping around the establishment. He was doing, it was astounding. And for those of you that missed Ronald Reagan in his prime, this is the closest to a Ronald Reagan-esque speech, Trump style, for the modern age. And he used many tactics that he had learned the last State of the Union address, where, whether it was designed or not, last State of the Union, he said a few things that put the left establishment on the ropes, right? He would say something very obvious, for instance, about black unemployment being the lowest. This is from from last year. And he said that on purpose because how can you not stand for that? How can you not clap for that? Black unemployment from a bunch of Democrats who pride themselves on being diversity, which, by the way, the Republican primary diversity poll, actually, they were more diverse than the Democrats. Just saying, for those of you that are keeping score, the Republican primary in 2016 was more diverse than any Democrat field, except for the last one, which they have now, or of course now it's also white, but that's another story. I digress. But that is pretty much what he did. He would say a couple things last year that were obvious that all Americans should basically group around. and force them to show their disdain. Well, he took those highlights that he saw, how he was outed them, and so much damage was done to them last year, and he just supersized the guys. He did the entire, almost half the speech was that. Half the speech was throwing them on the defensive with this rope-a-dope, just slapping them around, and the other half was pulling from the spirit of Ronald Reagan. What I mean by that is, when he calls to the not peanut gallery, but I guess the gallery up the top. I used to always call it the peanut gallery. But, when where the first lady sits and the family and all the different guests. And those guests, they're a little cheesy, but they're meant to be sentimental and pull the heartstrings. That was begun by Ronald Reagan. Anyway, when we would come back, we have much to go over. The coronavirus, we're going to talk about modernism, and in the last hour, or in the after show, prostate cancer as a doctor, a little something special for some of you guys out there. So stay tuned, and we will talk more. Trump Report, Trump.
From the second letter of Captain Mark. Any pirate knows that commerce is communication. Markets condense oceans of information into a single price. Innovations in communication are circumventing the scrutiny of the crown. This signals a change in the coin of the realm. The crown uses digital currency to surveil, censor, seize, and destroy wealth at will, so pirate currency must protect us from this weaponized money. We need to move funds further, faster, cheaper, and without third-party observation, basing decisions on an accelerating flow of information. So pirates require nearly instantaneous transactions with no arbitrary limits on volume or artificial influences on fees. Most importantly, a pirate currency must preclude centralization. Otherwise, it will become another link in our chain to the crown. A superior currency will result in the obsolescence of the coin of the realm and the extinction of the crown itself. Trade above the grid. Join us at pirateswithoutborders.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Because we are smothering in spam, please do not reply to all when you can instead reply. I was recently among over 100 invited to a corporate reunion. It's always a warm affair, and that's the problem. Enthusiasm for our upcoming get-together caused many recipients to RSVP the organizer with a cheery reply to all. I can't wait. Then others piled on with a reply to all to that. Then the "I'm out of my office now" autoresponders joined in. So I replied to all, asking that we all reply only to the organizer. Hey, at least I tried. One invitee, apparently retired, shot back, "Point taken, but I really like seeing the responses since they're so positive." Smiley face. This better be an open bar. From survivalspeech.com, I'm Holland Cook.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Roads? It's the Ernest Hancock Show. Where we're going, there aren't any roads.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back. We're trying to get this audio set. Hopefully you're hearing me okay, and Donna's going to be helping me out with this audio. And if you guys are listening live and I'm too loud or too soft, let me know. I'm sitting at the big phone here, the big microphone here with Ernest Hancock, and Dr. Tamburri sitting in for him. But sometimes I've learned that Ernie speaks actually, believe it or not, a little bit louder than me at times. I'm not sure who's louder. Depends who's arguing. But I think we're doing good there. Hopefully, I'm not blowing out your ears at this point. So I wanted to finish up with from the last segment about this next 3 hours. We're going to talk more about, obviously, what's going on in the world. I don't even know where to start, which we have a nice plan for you. We're going to start with, obviously, Donald Trump and some other issues. In hour two, I want to talk about the coronavirus I mentioned last time. There was some new information coming out about the transmission and the true concern of this virus. Those of you who have listened to the show with myself, I have never been an alarmist for any of these outbreaks. SARS, and that was back in 2003 or 4. It's been a while. But there's been some other outbreaks, and they always talk about, oh my God, you need to jump on this and get vaccinated and on, which I know is a hot topic, obviously, with Freedom's Phoenix Now and the Ernie and Donna road tour on vaccines, which will be going on over the next year. But anyway, I wanted to talk about this coronavirus because there are some major differences with this. The transmission rate is much more concerning than I think people know, and some research is going out there that the way the government is looking at the transmission and the let's just say the spread factor is much worse than they're giving account for because of the incubation time that I talked about last week that was so concerning for me, that was different over most flus. So, and furthermore, being that this is based in China right now and can affect the whole world, if other countries go through quarantine, the question is going to be, can this be Peter Schiff's pin? As he's often said, we have an economy that's a big balloon. It's overextended, looking for a pin to pop. All right, to pop it. And wherever this will come from, we don't know. It's usually always where you least expect it. That's always. Matter of fact, Merlin from my favorite movie of all time, Excalibur, always says that. Always where you least expect. And it's possible that this could be, if it affects countries and their economies to even produce if they're on quarantine. And of course, the dollar trading back and forth. So we'll talk about that in the second hour a bit, but more so the medical perspective. I'll also review the anti-plague formula again, which is something we went over last time, and some other concerns. Myself being a doctor, at least I play one at times when I'm not on the radio, and I'll give you my 2 cents there. And then in the third hour, I want to talk about modernism. And it's a talk I've given to many of the discussion groups out here, the economic discussion group of the Arizona Breakfast Club with Terry. Hey, Terry, good morning. And so I want to give you kind of a summary of that. I'm going to give you a little kind of a commercial for it first. In essence, this modernism talk deals with how we got to where we are now. What is this fight that we're all dealing with? And no, it's not Donald Trump versus Nancy Pelosi. As fun as that is. Oh, my God, is that fun? But this is a much larger issue that we've explored on the show. The real fight that's going on in the world is the fight between nationalism, populism together, nationalism, populism, and globalism. We've all had our own individual fights in our own countries as the globalists have sort of collected, like the collector from Marvel Comics. The collector goes around collecting countries, collecting governments. And in order to collect them, they've each had to become homogenized or standardized in a way that the globalists could then start to take them. After all, you can't have one country that has guns and another country that doesn't have guns. I mean, that is like a Second Amendment. movement. So what do you have to do? You have to normalize and homogenize them. So, if most countries don't have guns, of course, most governments don't like the people that have guns, but you have to make sure you reduce the gun rights of countries that have them. So that way that's, the countries are more equal. And we can do this with all sorts of applications, whether it's economic, cultural. Why do you think they want all the borders to be eradicated? So there are no cultures or differences to separate one country from another, and therefore it's easier to assimilate. So that is what the globalist agenda has been for a long time. In our country, it's been Democrat versus Republican or liberal versus conservative, with all due respect to really libertarianism, which started this country, and I think this country is probably going to go back to a form of it, and I see that myself. But in essence, we've looked at it as the left versus the right, liberals versus conservatives, and that's been our fight. In essence, though, when you boil them all down, it comes down to whatever you want to call it, from country to country, like what's going on in England with the Brexit and different things. It's really nationalism and populism versus, the state. The government, bigger is better, whereas it's, for people like ourselves, it's more the individual. But this has been going on everywhere. Anyway, basically this fight of modernism is the fact, and I'm going to get into this in the third hour because this is a loaded topic. I'm just giving you kind of a precursor here, is that modernism is a philosophy that began 100 or so years ago. It was a philosophy that happened during the Industrial Revolution. Matter of fact, that industrial rev time was basically a manifestation of this modernist movement. And of the modernist movement, you had three spin-offs, three philosophies that came out of this one movement. And I'll explain what this ultimate philosophy was. I mean, it really goes back to Isaac Newton, believe it or not, and the fight that Davi and Ernie had last week when they went on and on about is it possible to know everything if you have enough data to figure it out, ultimately. That, what Davi was talking about, or at least what Ernie, what they were debating, and what is it that the book he has here up here, something economics, yeah, it was. Anyway, there was something. There was a cute little term on economics, but anyway, it was on that concept that if you know enough things, you can figure things out. That is a modernist approach. That everything's understandable if you get enough data and enough control over the data. And how do you get control over the data and the people? Government. But the idea is that's where the modernist viewpoint came. That we can control medicine, we can control science, we can control the environment, we can control people, we can control the economy. Everything that we live through for generations is all a manifestation of this concept. And three political ideologies came out of this modernist view. And three. One was fascism. The other was communism. And the third is liberal democracy. And I think I don't need to explain most of you a little bit about history. And that is the first one that started was fascism. That was easy to figure out. That was a one-size-fits-all cultural view. And of course, that went down in flames because they distorted that concept. The next was communism, which is a one-size-fits-all economic philosophy. Okay, you make everyone equal and you control the economy that way, and that collapsed, of course. About 30, 40 years later. And the winner by default was liberal democracy, and liberal democracy is a one-size-fits-all political system, which is manifested into the United Nations. The idea that everyone, if everyone has ultimately the same political government, the same way of running things, which is what the UN and the globalists want, then you can control everything. And that was, in essence, they believe that's a good thing. Well, liberal democracy is now the last of the three. It's collapsing, and we're turning the page into postmodernism, what scholars say. That is what this fight is at a much, much larger scale than Donald Trump. We'll return and explore Mitt Romney. Well, my favorite topic. Oh, that'll get my blood pressure and yours after the break.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealestate.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm. Free Talk Live.
You know, you got to give those guys credit, though. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, they've established this for themselves. And who are the Hispanic leaders? Who are the Chinese leaders? It's a brilliant marketing plan on their part to get them radio interviews and all kinds of appearances and sell books for them. But otherwise, that's really all it is for them.
Right, and then when you call them out, exactly what you said. If you are a black person, you are supposed to get upset when they tell you to get upset. Me and a lot of other people who are black, we've grown up. I'm 55 going on 56. I don't see color. I see people. I see behavior. I see morals. I see values. I don't see the color of a person's skin. That does not dictate how I should interact with that person. Their behavior, their morals and values dictate how I interact with them.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
The political world is a maddening cesspool of corruption and lies. Nobody tells the truth. Nobody keeps campaign promises. Nobody obeys the Constitution. Nobody puts the people first. How can we ever escape this web of tyranny? Vote for nobody.
Hi, my name is Nobody. I'm running for governor of New Hampshire because nobody knows how to live your life better than you do, and nobody deserves that kind of power. I want to put you back in control of your money, your lifestyle, your work, your body, and your life. Nobody should rule you but you. New Hampshire convicts many people of so-called crimes that should never have been prosecuted. If elected, I will pardon every victimless crime in New Hampshire history. This includes drug, gambling, prostitution, gun, and driving offenses. Nobody should have a criminal record when they have not harmed anybody.
Wouldn't it be nice to have nobody telling you what to do? Learn more at electnobody.com. electnobody.com.
Some of our live shows are streamed in HD on Twitch. Please follow and share at twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock. To be a part of the show, call 602-264-2800.
Welcome back. Oh, this is by far the coolest bumper music Ernie's got going. You know, it's not quite Tangerine Dream, but you know, which I got to play at least once for the show. But I'll tell you what, Ernie, I'm not too bad on that one. You know, a little Matrix there. I love it. All right, guys. So this is Dr. Tamburri sitting in for the Ernest Hancock on the Trump Report. Trump. And we have much to go over. Let's get into current events. My gosh. First of all, I start off the show about the whole rope-a-dope and that what I've been predicting has occurred. All right. Donald Trump has been taking all this for a while. I mean, for years. And he's been holding it back. And I know, because gosh knows, if you say one little thing to Donald Trump, if you attack him, he, of course, remembers and he'll hit you twice as hard back. That's sort of like in the East Coast world that I remember my grandfather talking about. You go outside and someone starts a fight, You come back, my grandfather would tell you, I hope the other guy's bleeding more, right? And send you back out to finish the fight. It's a bit old school by today's standards, I realize, for the snowflakes out there, but that is Donald Trump. He won't, in my opinion, he doesn't start a fight. I think he has very good character. Even my mother, and people have problems with his personality, will admit that he seems to be a good person. He believes what he's doing is correct for America, whether we agree with all his policies or not. I don't even agree with all his policies, believe it or not, some of you. But, the intentions are pure. He comes at it from a perspective of unifying the culture and what he thinks is best for America, not to enrich himself. Now granted, I'm sure he doesn't mind the name recognition. I mean, having Trump on billboards doesn't quite compare to maybe being on the $1 bill someday, or maybe the $1 billion bill after the economy collapses. Who knows? But obviously there's more to it. But I think he believes in what he's doing. But anyway, this rope-a-dope, he's doing what I knew he would do, because there's no way he's going to take an insult, not just an insult, but insult against his family, his daughter, and being called essentially a traitor to the nation. And that's on top of the fact of never acknowledging him as president. I mean, he never had his day. It's like he didn't even have. I'm jumping off topic for a second. The one thing he never even had, and I think it's like people who watch the new Star Wars movies. If all they had was Luke Skywalker have one big lightsaber fight, so many fans that hate Star Wars would at least give Disney a break. Just you got Luke Skywalker, just have one fight, and they couldn't do that. And this is the thing with Donald Trump. All he wanted was basically at least one day. It's like you have your wedding day. It's like, if you're a bride, you just want your day. It's your prom. Just give me my one day. Okay, we can fight later. They couldn't give him the inauguration. All right, for Donald Trump. If those of you, of course, I was there live at the inauguration. For those of you watching, the media just kept heckling him during his one day. And the one that stuck in his craw, and this is an important point, because I think people don't realize how significant this was when not only did they have the rioters and the Antifa that was there, causing riot. And I was there, I was watching them. I mean, the tension was so high being there. And the people who were supporting the president by being there, it wasn't a celebration like it has probably been for other presidents. It felt almost like a duty, almost as if we were standing court to just make sure that history progresses this way. It was an odd feeling being there, the tension, the riots. Then the next day was the Women's March, which is really just a fake excuse to protest Donald Trump and their screaming. But I marched in there with all of my Trump swag, full, along with a fellow doctor that came with me. We're dressed head to toe in Trump hats and scarves and everything, and we walked in the Women's March on principle. Oh boy, a lot of people were taking pictures of us. But all of this, Donald Trump couldn't have his day. And most important is that the media kept pointing out that, well, all right, he might be president, but he's not legitimate. And just look how few people showed up compared to Obama. They kept pointing that out, that he had a smaller crowd. It's like your phallic is a little smaller than someone else, right? It's like the little small hands comment. And coming from a guy from the Queens, New York, and old school, that I think was more significant than the media and most people recognize. Knowing Trump the way I think I do, and I think I get him. That's why I predicted how this was going to turn out a long time ago, along with the American people. But I think that moment said more, and he came back saying, oh no, my crowd's bigger. Stick it. Which, of course, was not true. But as the sales guy he is, he says, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah. You're telling me mine's small? Well, no. Yours is smaller. I mean, that's pretty much what it was. And they took that as his first day in office as a lie. And they ran with it, and they just magnified it. And that one stupid thing that many of you maybe already forget was I think really the impetus for what we have. Donald Trump, I believe, was willing to let bygones be bygones, and I've heard commentators and people close to him say he really thought that after he won, of course the media wasn't going to would not be in love with him, but he just felt that they would be at least somewhat fair as they have to other Republicans. He really, I think, believed that, and the pushback from the media, not just from the deep state, which kind of the same thing, but I think really overthrew him, overwhelmed him, and surprised him, honestly. And that started the fight that we still have. I mean, it's turned into everything. But anyway, I want to mention about with with Mitt Romney, which we have to bring that up because there was the acquittal that happened yesterday, and I'll talk about it now, maybe into the next break. Mitt Romney. What do we say? He's proving the establishment. He's proving the very reason that Donald Trump was put in office. About draining the swamp. And he is kind of one of the last figures of it. I mean, John McCain passed, of course. You've got other, what do we have? Jeff Flake here of Arizona stepping down. It's amazing that all these conscientious Republicans, except for Mitt, I give them credit for this, they also began to jump ship because when the going got tough and they were in the minority in their own party for once, join the club when you're part of the Freedom Caucus. They couldn't handle it and they took off. Well, Mitt Romney came back. Now, why? And now he has the vote. The acquittal went through yesterday. It was along party lines except for one person, Mitt Romney. Well, there's a joke about Mitt Romney. I don't know if you ever heard this, Donna. 3 men walk into a bar, a Democrat, a moderate, and a Republican. And the bartender says, "Hi, Mitt." Basically showing that he tried to be everything to everyone, a standard establishment politician like Bill Clinton. Just lick your finger, put it in the air, and see whatever popular rules and laws and concepts are out there and that are poll tested, and that's pretty much the direction. That's what Mitt Romney tried to do, but he did it without a sole principle underneath it. Donald Trump's trying to appeal to many people as well. The difference is he has a principle underneath. I know Ernie and I go around and around on this. He thinks there's no principle. But Donald Trump's principle is unifying around a culture. Okay, it may not be economic principle or some other principle of freedom per se, but to him it's a cultural principle to get back to the roots, and that's a little more loaded topic. But for Mitt Romney, he in his mind that position of president was meant for him. He felt it was his destiny. It's sort of like JFK, being part of the family. Remember, Mitt Romney's father was Mitt Romney's father? Was a senator. I think he was a senator or governor. I think it was a senator. So Mitt comes from a political background, and then of course, he's in politics and he's bequeathed between money and power, and he sees it around him. He's being groomed to be president. Then he becomes governor, right? And he does okay as governor. He implements, Obamacare, 1.0 or Obamacare Light, Medicare, and he sells out whatever seems to be popular to move his way up. He was always in the drag behind John McCain and sucking up to John McCain. And after John McCain, lost, remember Mitt Romney ran against him. He got his media exposure during that campaign, and then he was the next one in line, as Republicans like, in 2012. And he went down in flames. And for those of us in the Ron Paul campaign, we were in that fight. He did everything to stop the Ron Paul movement because we had principle and the momentum, and he did not. But he has nothing. And now he's been thrown to the dustbin of history, right? Especially with Donald Trump calling him a choke artist. So now what you have here, he comes back into the Senate and wants to be the lone voice. He knows the absolute hate he will get. He has been expelled, basically just cast out from the Republicans. We're going to play Laura Ingraham when we come back to give you an example of what's happened. But he's willing to take that, a blemish, and the hate to at least not be forgotten as he would be otherwise. Talk about desperation for one's ego.
Crimes of the Crown by Captain Mark. The Crown casts the world in shadow and claims to be our guiding light. Cowards clamor for security from boogeymen and ghost stories, while I say these hobgoblins are imaginary. I say those they propped up as our liberators are now subsisting on our bondage. I say there is freedom in the black, and that's exactly where we intend to go. The Crown banishes its own officers for exposing its crimes and tortures dissidents to the brink of madness. It dominates the globe and swallows the wealth of generations, leaving only blood and excrement. The Crown calls it piracy to explore frontiers beyond its grasp. So the time has come for us to define the conduct among pirates. I say the Crown has trampled our necks long enough. Need decentralized solutions to centralized problems? Looking for a community of like-minded scoundrels? Or just want some swag to let the Crown know what you think of it? Join the conversation at pirateswithoutborders.com. We won't be hard to find.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Love what we do? Please help support our international satellite channels at patreon.lrn.fm. That's patreon.lrn.fm.
Freedom is the answer. What's the question?
What's the question?
You're listening to Ernest Hancock.
I want to break free.
Oh, I love that quote. Welcome back, Freedom's Phoenix. Freedom's Phoenix, Dr. Phranq Tamburri. All right, what I want to do is I want to finish up with this Mitt issue because I can't stomach him much myself. But this is not about Mitt as much. This is Mitt's own personal ego game, and he's going to go down into history. And keep in mind, there's only, as the Dems always would love to bring up, Trump's the only other third person ever impeached, blah, blah, blah. It's a stain. Oh, my gosh. It's like the whole world, all of history will remember this day. And you know what Mitt Romney just did? He linked his one name to it because forever it will be he's the first Republican or first, actually, I think, senator to ever vote to basically throw out of office a member of their own party. That supposedly never happened. And throughout history, it would always be the fact that the acquittal was not just partisan, it was bipartisan. Because one Republican broke ranks, and therefore, is it a profile in courage? At least that's what he hopes he'll be remembered for. But at least, even if he's hated, Mitt Romney has taken a page from Donald Trump, which is that even bad news about you is still good news, right? Just bad marketing, bad press is still good press. I mean, I guess he has nothing left to lose. I mean, his whole life has been, Mitt Romney, the guy, he reminds me of an underwear model for Fruit of the Loom when it was those 50-year-old good-looking guys, the chiseled. The guy, it reminds me of a chiropractor, like the stereotypical good-looking chiropractors all look like, these like these jock guys. It's amazing. Anyway, he's got the chiseled chin like Mr. Fantastic from the comics. Anyway, enough of the Mitt comments. But that is where this guy is. His whole world has been creating this image of vanilla and trying to ram that through and sell out principles of the country, not understanding the culture. And now will forever be known as the one person that stood up in his mind. So that's about as far as he has to go. So I want to show you, though, Fox News. I know, Phranq Tamburri just watches Fox all day. No, I don't. Trust me. But this one's interesting because Fox has always been in the establishment, and Ernie and I had long fights. Those of you who listen to the show for a while, you guys know we fight sometimes. And he couldn't believe that Fox News was going against the establishment. And I said, Ernie, I'm watching this happen. And one by one, some of the hosts realized where maybe their ratings were or the bread is buttered. You might just say it's just for ratings. Maybe there's something else deeper going on. But I'm astounded to watch this one station, despite their faults, take on the establishment, especially then when it was not popular to do. So now with Mitt Romney doing what he's done, I have never seen Fox, especially in this case, Laura Ingraham, who does her own show on there. I've never seen her this angry and animated with Mitt Romney, and how Mitt Romney is the last face of the establishment. It was John McCain. John McCain was the face of the Republican establishment, and Hillary Clinton, or maybe you can argue Bill Clinton / maybe Obama, but I think Hillary Clinton was the face of the establishment. Lifelong politicians that will not leave, and part of that swamp. Well, anyway, I'm going to play this for a couple minutes here. This is Laura Ingraham not only talking about the establishment being a problem, Mitt Romney being part of it, and just see how she raises and burns down Mitt Romney. I've never seen anything like this. So let's just go for a couple minutes and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is a transition point of the death of the establishment of the Republicans, let alone the Democrats, which are coming up next. All right, let's see.
Think about it. Mitt Romney is the establishment. They were wrong on China. They were wrong on Iraq. They were wrong on immigration, wrong on the housing bubble, wrong on the bailouts, wrong on things like Harriet Miers and David Souter. For the GOP establishment, it was always about what was good for them personally or their conscience or Wall Street, not what was good for the average American. For a few brief shining moments in 2008 and 2012, some of us thought that Romney had a solid core. Boy, did he fool us.
Yeah,
he was a Massachusetts liberal in 1994 when he ran against Ted Kennedy for the Senate. Then he moved a bit to the right when he ran for governor. Then he claimed he was a full-blown conservative when he first ran for president in 2008. And now, like all the other bitter never-Trumpers, he'd rather see the entire American economy go down the drain than give Trump a victory.
First, I do want to salute Mitt Romney.
The verdict of history is going to be on Mitt Romney's side.
He seemed to be reaching for the ghost of John McCain.
He's changed his place in history.
That was a real act of courage.
Mitt Romney, give me hope for the future.
Yeah, hope.
Mitt, you made your stand. Now you should resign. You committed a fraud on the people of Utah, on the Republican Party, on the Constitution, and have thoroughly embarrassed yourself. Boehner retired. Ryan left Washington. Cantor was bounced out of office. They just weren't in sync with the priorities of most American Republican voters. And neither are you. Utah does not need someone who doesn't get his phone calls returned. They need an actual functioning senator, and Mike Lee can't do everything.
That's the other senator from Utah.
Folks are supposed to enter politics to advance policies that improve the lives of everyday Americans. That's what Trump did. And his policies are working. But Romney apparently went into politics because of his dad or because he wanted everyone to think he was a good person. He never actually wins arguments or persuades anyone of anything. And at the end of the day, one man was trying to impress the elites in Washington today, and the guy in the Oval Office was not. All along, he was just trying to make America greater, and he has. Romney, I hope, enjoys his brief moment in the sun, while he's lauded by the very people who spent the last 20 years attacking him. Because in a few weeks, the phone will stop ringing. He'll be lucky to get booked on Chris Cuomo's show. We won't ever forget. Utah should never forget. And if I have to move there to run against him in 4.5 years, I will.
All right, that's kind of enough. I know it's like so much Fox News some of you guys can handle, so I get that. But I just wanted to point that out. Keep in mind, this is the same station, right, that was in bed with Mitt. This is the same station that would not give any airtime to Ron Paul or to any anti-establishment candidates. And I'm sure most of you remember, those of you that have memories, okay, it was Mitt. Right? It was Bill O'Reilly, the establishment, and that it is profound how this has changed. And you can't come back from this as far as establishment or anti. I mean, look, it's a damn media. If they want to turn on a dime, they will. I mean, clearly, I don't trust any of them per se. But this is, I mean, they've taken a stand, Fox News across the board. Now, we might, I know the argument, they have Donna Brazile, and they have done other things that have angered diehard conservatives and many Trump people. I'm not angry about it because I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid that much, despite what you think, Ernie, if you're listening. But it is something I think they're trying to navigate Fox News into a more moderate position, because the future of this country, I believe, ultimately, after Trump finishes his cleanup act in round 2, which will be after November of this year, after another 4 years, we are going to need a time for this country to heal. And that sounds like some kind of cliche. It really does. But I predict, and I'm going to say it here on the air, if I've said it earlier, I think the next president will probably be a female. I think, although some people think it could be Ivanka, that Ivanka might be running in the Trump dynasty that Ernie has been predicting. I don't know. I have a hard time thinking the Trump kids would be next for a host of reasons. But, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it if they actually have principle and can speak on their own and not just in the coattails of their father. But I think that the next president, if I had to make a choice right now, would be Tulsi Gabbard. I could see her easily in 2024 because she is where I think this country is going to gravitate towards, is the moderates. The moderates are what created the modern problem, no pun intended here, some of this, of where we are now. The moderate Democrats, moderate Republicans, those, and mainly moderate Democrats, but it's through their apathy of not staying engaged in politics, by just worrying about other things and soccer practice for their kids and sports and whatever BS that people are involved with, that the moderates did not really watch or question their own media. They just assumed everything and that they heard was true. And anyone that thought about it or was into politics, that was their hobby. You're just into this stuff. Some people like football, you just like politics. No, I have plenty of hobbies. But politics is something that, or at least government and being aware of what's happening, is for everybody. The moderates didn't do that, and that left the door open for the so-called extreme sides, or in this case, the leftists, to take over the Democrat Party. There's some on the right as well, but that group on the left has now created, they are the monster now that's coming back, and the dog that's biting the owner on the moderate Democrats, including the establishment Democrats. That's what we're finding. So the moderates are what this next fight will be about, and I think a moderate like Tulsi Gabbard, who does not wear being a female on her sleeve, is a perfect candidate. Without drama, this country does not need any more drama after Trump clearing the swamp, and we can regroup, at least for most of America. We libertarians, we're still carrying on that fight of freedom. What's the question? Freedom's the answer. I understand that, but this country, I think, is positive, and we're going to see some real benefits 2024.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom.